going live. Welcome everyone. My name is Robert Winsko and I will be your operator during the Q2 2021 quarterly call of the Dashcore Group. Ryan Terwell will be your host. Ryan, I hand it over to you.
All right, thank you, Robert. So welcome to our second quarter 2021 Dashcore Group conference call. I'm Ryan Taylor, I'm the CEO of Dashcore Group, and I'm joined by quite a few members today from the Dashcore team, or core group. Ernesto Contreras, who's our head of business development, Arden Goldstein, our head of marketing, Glenn Austin, our chief financial officer, Bob Carroll, our chief technology office, Sam Westrich, one of our key developers, and of course, Robert already introduced himself, our chief operating officer. So we've got a good number of folks here. We have a large number of updates to provide, and we're really aiming to get through this presentation very quickly. Many of our calls in the past have been quite long, and we've been working to condense those, based on feedback that we get from the community. And so we'll be trying to keep this as compact and full of information as possible. So if we move to the agenda, we do plan to first share a set of prepared remarks and accompanying slides, as we always do, followed by a question and answer session. We did collect questions ahead of the call. We typically spend anywhere from 45 minutes going through questions. On the last call, we shortened that window to around 30 minutes, and we really aim to answer the most critical questions. So we've really focused on a handful of questions for different areas of Dashcore Group to handle during the call. We, of course, will be collecting your questions as well in the chat, and if any of those kind of rise to that level, we'll address them live. All questions will be addressed at least in written form, even if we don't get to those today. So again, in the interest of kind of keeping these calls to a very consumable length and encouraging more people to watch them, we're trying to condense all of these sections. So we'll try this and get feedback from the community, and also track the engagement of the video and see if this is an improvement. So today we're of course going to give an overview of Dashcore Group and Dashcore Group's strategy, as we always do, to help familiarize any newcomers to the community. The second thing is that we'll walk through some of our metrics and market performance as a network as a whole, as well as give an update on Dashcore Group's financial situation. We also will be providing a tech update, as we always do. On this call, we're going to do a little bit of a deep dive into marketing when we get into the growth section. We will cover business development, but the majority of that section will be devoted to some of the early work that Arden has been doing as part of her 100-day plan. That 100 days is coming up here in the very near future, and so she's done a lot of work to set the baseline for a lot of the work that is to come, and she's going to share an update on that. I'm sure you'll find that very informative. She'll also share some tidbits and findings that she's had as she's dug into our network and our users. And then I'll give an update on some of the things that are to come. We have an exciting announcement to make today, actually a couple of exciting announcements today, and so I'll share some of those details as well. And then of course we'll cover the Q&A. So with that, let's jump into it. So Dashcore Group is an entity that was formed back in 2017. And we set out with a mission and vision that kind of carried over from the informal group of volunteers that had been participating as part of the network. And we've really clarified this over the years and refined it. And this is the DashCore Group mission and vision. It centers around delivering solutions, financial solutions that are secure, reliable, decentralized, and usable. And the core of the vision that we're delivering against is the infrastructure of a payments network and a connected ecosystem of merchants, consumers, and service providers. And most of that focus is on developing the solutions themselves. We also do collaborate with service providers to help ensure some of those Dash-specific functionalities are integrated and improve the user experience. And we also cultivate the ecosystem with education, promotion, and engagement. And so, again, most of our focus is on the development of the various software components that make up our network. And we, of course, work with others to help that network to grow. Next slide. I won't go through this slide in great detail because we go through it typically on most quarterly calls. The growth of the ecosystem, the key message here is that we are focused on particular use cases that we feel are a good fit and fulfill a need in the marketplace, where cryptocurrency really excels, and Dash in particular because of its unique features of speed, scalability, and low cost. The product that we're developing is catered to those markets, and you know, there's a symbiotic relationship there between what we choose to build and the markets that we're pursuing, and so you know, they kind of inform each other. And lastly, the technology. The technology is built to support those markets and the products that we aim to develop. And we do that through a three-layer architecture. There's the base payment layer. This is the Dash network and the payment network associated with it. Layer 2 is what we commonly refer to as platform. This is the new services that are being developed on testnet and basically deliver a data layer and message storage system. And then layer 3 is the applications that consume all of this. And so we deliver wallets and the capability of third-party developers to develop applications that reside on layer 2. So this gives you an idea of what Dash is all about if you are new to the community or are consuming Dash information for the first time here. So let's jump to market performance during the quarter. Every quarter, we report on a set of key metrics that we track and report out to the community. And they fall in these several categories you see here in kind of the light bluish gray. The first is in terms of volatility and fees on the network. These are, of course, things that affect our users, and daily volatility was quite high during the quarter. It remained elevated after an elevated Q1, increased slightly by about 4%. Median fees on the network were about flat at about 1/10 of a cent. This is kind of the target range that we go for with transaction fees. As they approach a penny, we usually recommend increasing that, so we're kind of in this sweet spot. Next is indications of users. Average daily active addresses increased about 5 to 6% during the quarter. Installed wallets grew about 1%. Interestingly, installed wallets on active devices, one of the big effects from like 2019 of the growth of installed wallets was a partnership we had with a crypto mobile distributing phones in Venezuela. Those are coming up on their 2-year mark, and we are tracking it, but it does appear like some of those phones may start to be aging and being in replacement mode. So we will be facing a headwind in this category in the future, but growth nonetheless continues despite that effect. Unspent UTXOs, those grew about 1% during the quarter, 3% year on year. Total addresses greater than $1. We did have a price decrease during the quarter, so you would expect this number to come down, but it only fell about 1%. Other metrics on usage, we track Messari's real volume. These are a subset of exchanges that Messari believes report accurate volumes. Trading volume increased 24% during the quarter. So that was quite a strong result. Adjusted total payment volume. This is payments moving across our network. And it's adjusted for payments that look like they're just movement of funds between the user's own wallet. And so it strips out a lot of that effect. And that was a little over $6 billion this quarter. That was up 78%. Economic transactions across the network grew about 10%. And well, this should say CoinJoin transactions. We removed the private send branding. We unbranded private send during the quarter. Those fell about 7% during the quarter after a record Q1. In terms of our key metric that we really try to focus on is median economic transactions per day. And the reason we focus on that one a lot is because unlike economic transactions, a spam or a stress test on the network doesn't have a great effect on median economic transactions per day. It's a lot harder to manipulate this metric, and that's the reason that we focus on it. That grew about 22% during the quarter to a record 29,000 transactions per day. So that represents a typical day. That does strip out CoinJoin transactions, and it strips out Coinbase transactions. And so that was quite a strong result there. When we compare ourselves on this metric to other networks in the ecosystem that are similar to Dash, Bitcoin, Bitcoin Cash, Litecoin, we can see that there's a kind of mixed results there. Bitcoin transactions were down about 24% during the quarter to a number that network hasn't seen in quite a while. Part of the effect of this may be because difficulty was dropping and hash rate was dropping during the quarter. That slows down the creation of blocks. Perhaps that contributed partially to that number. Lightning network capacity is also something we track. You can't actually see the number of transactions going across the Lightning network, but at least in terms of the capacity, it did grow during the quarter. Bitcoin Cash transactions fell by about 2/3, and Litecoin increased by about 25%. So we're kind of right there with Litecoin in terms of capturing some of the growth there. And then in terms of markets, coin supply increased about 1.5%. So that was about 1.6% last quarter. We did go through a emissions on an annual basis. Dash emissions drop a bit, and we did go through that in May. And so both our year-on-year and quarter-on-quarter growth rate slowed in terms of our total coin supply. We also track circulating supply. These are the coins that are not collateralizing an active masternode. That did increase 8.4% during the quarter and 22% year-on-year. Now, this is a metric we're tracking against because we've made recent changes to the network to slow the growth of circulating supply, and it did spike during this quarter. Part of the reason for that is that version 0.17 of Core was released during the quarter, and during the month of June, a large number of our masternodes were banned off of the network. Those masternodes, the collateral for those masternodes don't appear to have moved in large numbers. So I think it's a matter of those masternodes realizing that they've been banned from the network, aren't collecting masternode rewards and restarting their nodes. And so I would expect that this would normalize again next quarter, but as things stand right now, we're reporting the numbers are as they are and providing an explanation for the spike. Price was at 145.58 at the end of the quarter. That was a drop of about 35%, and market cap was off about 34%. So those are the metrics for the quarter. As you can see, there's a number of green growth indicators here, and we report across a number of different metrics to try and give an overall picture of the network's growth, but it is an overall positive picture on growth. And, Dash did have a price decline during the quarter. So this is a slide that I promised I would share through the end of this year. This is the circulating supply growth rate versus the target. Our aim is to get that circulating supply growth down below 10% by the end of the year. We did see a large increase here during Q2, and that was due in part to version 0.17 masternodes banning those version 0.16 masternodes off the network due to the deployment and high adoption rate of version 0.17. However, when we look at addresses with greater than 1,000 Dash, it was very stable. So we do expect many of those masternodes to re-enable and this number to drop back down next quarter. I also pointed out specifically on the last quarterly call that Q2 was was going to increase anyway, and that was just due to a year-on-year comparable that was quite strong, and so we kind of knew it would increase, but part of this is simply due to version 0.17 being deployed to the network. Again, we do expect this to trend back down and are targeting below that 10% mark. So with that, I will turn things over to Glenn to walk us through Dash Core Group's financials and where our financial health is right now.
Great, thanks, Ryan. Hello, I'm Glenn Austin, and I'll provide an update on our Q2 2021 financial results. So, usually provide a reminder here. All of our accounting is conducted in USD to provide a stable picture of our financials. And since we are using mark-to-market accounting for our holdings of Dash, we are not reporting in accordance with US GAAP. So that out of the way, I just first wanted to talk about the price performance of the overall crypto market in Q2. It really was mixed and a tale of two halves. It started off really well with prices increasing throughout April and into the first half of May. And then in the middle of May, prices hit a peak. And following that peak, one of the worst 6-week periods on record followed, with prices across all crypto assets collapsing rapidly. Dash specifically hit a high of $475 during the month of May and ended the quarter at roughly $140. So, that dropped from the peak of approximately 70%. Despite that background, Dash Core Group financials are in good shape. As a matter of fact, our reserves have not been healthier since the bull run back in the fourth quarter of 2017. Specifically, our reserves are at a 3.5-year high of $3.3 million, and the bulk of that is sitting in our compensation account. So our reserve is now at 6 months of compensation expense, which really has been our target since 2018. Since the beginning of the year, we did take a pretty aggressive approach to hiring. 16 headcount additions were approved. The vast majority of those were in the development organization, right? So this allowed us to continually bring on new resources. We brought in 7 new headcount in the last 3 months, consisting of 3 developers within Core, a cryptographer, Arden, our marketing head, a UI UX designer, and a technical project manager who starts on Monday. In addition to that, we have another 9 open positions, 6 of them within the development organization, as well as an infrastructure engineer, a content writer for marketing, and a manager for business development in Latin America. The expense associated with current staff and expected hires will bring us to a compensation run rate of roughly $120 per Dash. So the current price of Dash is higher than our compensation expense run rate. And given the size of our reserves, if Dash were to crash from here to, let's say, an average of $60 per Dash, we would be able to operate for an entire year without having to make any substantial changes to staffing levels. So I'm happy to report that we are in a pretty strong financial position from that perspective. Let's flip to the next slide here. Thank you. So as you can see here, in Q2 2021, we brought in about $1.85 million from the Dash network. Our expenses were about $1.3 million. So during the quarter, we also recognized a gain of almost $200,000 because of the appreciation of Dash held on our balance sheet. Described this gain in the past, it's essentially generated by a timing difference between receiving the funds from the network and the lag it takes to liquidate the Dash in the open market. Net income in the quarter came in at about $754,000. Our next proposal to the network, I'm going to be posting that in the next couple of weeks, will most likely be in the infrastructure account. And that'll be to fund day-to-day operations as well as security audits for Core and platform that we're currently RFPing. Additionally, I also wanted to specifically call out our marketing account, which has a balance of $246,000. It sounds like it's a lot of money, but it includes a lot of things within it. It includes budget for conferences, translators, SEO, content and asset creation, analytics, and website improvements, and other day-to-day expenses of running marketing. So this doesn't really leave that much money to deploy on the type of splashy, high-impact types of marketing campaigns that the community and frankly Dash Core Group would like to see. In the future, we hope to top up that account, but we simply can't do any marketing campaigns or events where the cost would be, let's say, $100,000, for example. That would literally take up half of our current marketing budget. There are marketing items that we can easily execute on that don't have those type of big ticket prices associated with them. And I'll let Arden touch upon those when she kind of covers marketing later on during this call. So why don't we summarize here? Our financial position has drastically improved and is at a high point relative to the last 3.5 years. As long as the price remains around $120 per Dash, we are breaking even on a monthly basis. And we are strongly positioned. So if prices were to fall below $100, even for a sustained period of time, our reserves are large enough to weather another prolonged crypto winter. So overall, our financial position is stronger than it has been in years. And at this point, the real challenge is determining how to best deploy funding on behalf of the network to achieve our deliverables and goals within reasonable timeframes. And with that, I'll let Bob provide an update on technology.
Great, thanks, Glenn. Appreciate that. The second quarter was another strong quarter as far as delivering software across all 3 of our development teams. As Glenn mentioned, we were actively involved in recruiting during the quarter, which actually takes a lot of effort from a lot of individuals. So I don't want to underplay that. I would have to say that it probably had some effect in the speed of our delivery across teams, and a little bit more on the hiring later on. The Dash Core, most significantly, had our V17 release. Several features were introduced into that. There was a spork split from a prior spork as far as proof of service for masternodes that was delivered. Ryan mentioned the unbranding of private send, which we felt was very important for our regulatory affairs efforts, and quite a bit in the Bitcoin backed ports there. We had a V19 release to testnet for Dash platform, which introduced feature flags, which will allow us to, in essence, have the similar spork-like capability in Dash platform. We introduced identity funding via chain locks, which was an improvement. And one of the other ones that I wanted to mention was the release of Dashmate, which kind of formerly known as MN Bootstrap, but allowing developers and others to quickly install and set up the environments for core and platform together. Typically, we would have 2 releases during that quarter. We're in the middle, actually just this morning, we've finally released V20. That was a little off target of what our typical 6 to 8 week cadence has been. So we did have a little slowdown in platform releases this quarter. With the wallets and the mobile team, a lot of work both on Dash Pay, our upcoming release, as well as our native wallets with multiple releases on both iOS and a release on Android. So looking, the next slide will show us how our migration is going for version 17 for core. And it's been a few quarters since our V16 major release. And I think it's helpful to compare those and the length of time that it takes to implement them. This is looking at the mining upgrade and updates to the signaling by the mining pools, which is critical to ensure that we have very successful and smooth hard forks. And basically, version 16 took us about 6 windows, each window being a week. We do a look back at that end of the week. We figure out how many blocks had been signaled by the mining pools. So as you can see in version 16, we had a very slow start in the less than 10% after a week, and barely over 10% after 2 weeks, moving up to 30%, and then eventually hitting that threshold. And also with V16, we introduced the declining threshold, that threshold that started at 80%. And then would decline over time at small increments down to a 60% threshold necessary to activate that new major version. So with version 17, we started this July 1st. The first activation window started around that time. We just completed our second activation window. We achieved 75% signaling of the mining pools after just our second window, with our first window being over 40%. So we now have, as of, I believe, yesterday or 2 days ago, all major mining pools signaling support for version 17. And based on that, we'll mathematically be reaching right around 100% in this next window. So at the end of this window, this current window that we're in, which will probably be next Tuesday, we'll lock in, and a week after that, it will be activated. Moving on to our roadmap, again, looking at team by team. In Q3, this mainnet migration that I just spoke about was one of our significant efforts that we needed to make sure went smoothly, and that is right now. And we're working on version 18 development. So we're back on a short release schedule for version 18, this next major release. And that is because we're trying to wrap up a few additional features for support of Dash platform and ensuring that that can be activated on mainnet prior to Dash platform's mainnet release. So wrapping up work on asset locks for credits, as well as being able to ban master nodes appropriately for platform proof of service. We need to make sure that the master nodes are servicing Dash platform. So what that means is next quarter, we'll actually have a test net and then roll to mainnet for version 18. And so with a Q4 release of 18, that's after a Q2 release of version 17. And you know, we've done that in the past. I can't remember which version numbers, but we've had 6-month release schedules, and nothing to be concerned about, maybe just picking up the pace a little bit again. And then as we roll the corner on the calendar to 2022, we are looking at most likely not having a major release, but a point release where we'll do some implementation around a BLS upgrade, where design and development work had been done for that last quarter, but the actual implementation and impact of it on the network will happen in Q1 of next year. And then continuing support for both Dash Pay and platform and what they need. The next line will show us our Dash platform roadmap. And as you can see, quite a bit of work to be developed and delivered in Q3. 2 releases, version 20 and version 21 will be released this quarter to testnet. And as I mentioned, version 20 hit testnet this morning. So a lot of work that's being done on that. The team is working quite hard, and very excited about the progress that's making. On Q4, we'll have 2 more releases that are on the roadmap, which will mean that we'll be feature complete with a release candidate for mainnet. We are, as Glenn mentioned, we're engaging the services of a third party for some stress and security tests. And we're doing that to ensure that the product meets all of the necessary safety and security standards expected by the community. So the development and testing efforts that we're doing with some of those final features that you see in that box, state tree design and proof of service, et cetera, that development effort will be running in parallel with some of the stress and security tests as much as we can in parallel. And that is to ensure that we can deliver platform to mainnet quickly, yet with the necessary prudence that you would expect. And then we know that there's things that we can do after MVP. Our development list has been long of things that we've wanted to do. And so we've had to make priority decisions on that. And so there's other things, improvements to the transaction fees and improvements to error handling, and how we do instrumentation and monitoring. And there's several things that we know we need to wrap up, but are not critical to our first release. I'll also mention that with the V20 release that's available today on testnet, that should free any of the blockers that our development community, especially those actively engaged in the incubator, have been experiencing. And then our final team that we'll highlight here is our mobile team, looking again at our native wallets and what we're doing, where we put in some, we'll be putting in some swap capabilities into our Android wallet. As you can see in Q4, looking at some push messaging. And again, these products will merge as we put Dash Pay into the native wallet feature functionality. And so the things that are under development prior to MVP, Q3 is still invitations, some additional UI and UX work. We have a great new designer who's come on board this last quarter, so we're excited for the work that he is doing. And then obviously we've got to keep Dash Pay in sync with the platform upgrades that are happening with versions 20 and 21 this quarter, as well as versions 22 and 23 next quarter. One of the exciting features that we weren't sure was going to be able to make it into MVP of Dash Pay is the Explore Dash feature. the ability to find locations that accept Dash, where you can use the new wallet. And we'll be doing that with some basic functionality in Q4, and then Q1, the geo-based Explore Dash feature. So in summary, on our next slide, we'll show just the path to mainnet. We talked about this last quarter, so this is a somewhat familiar slide, is just again emphasizing the foundation that's been built that allows us to deliver platform. The foundation has included some great innovations unique to Dash, as well as in all areas of core, and then extended into Dash platform. In Q3, we needed to migrate to version 17 of core, and as I've announced, that will be active within the next week or so. Version 20 of platform has been delivered as of this morning. And so it puts us into the next steps. Version 21 of platform is already under development because we've been in a deploy state of V20 for a while. So you could think of that in progress, as well as V18 has been in progress on core. And with the new developers that we've brought on board, we're making great progress in that effort. And it really leaves us with just a couple more releases of Dash platform, and we'll be ready to deliver core platform as well as Dash Pay wallet to mainnet. So we're excited about that, and I'll turn it over to the next presenter.
All right, thank you, Bob. Next, we'll go into our growth section, which consists of marketing and business development. Arden's going to give us a little bit of a deep dive into marketing, kind of as she's completing her first 100 days here with Dash, and you know, the deep dive that she's done into understanding our community and potential and so on. And so she'll be doing a deep dive, and then we'll cover business development with just a brief overview.
Okay, so I will take it away. I'm Arden. I'm very happy to be here and to go through all of the good work that has happened this quarter. The first task that I had to tackle when I came into DCG was that I went to look for all of the data, at least the data related to the website, so that way I could start my marketing efforts with a benchmark of how things have been handled in the past and what success metrics look like. And unfortunately, I had come into a situation where that foundation had not yet been built out. So the first project I jumped into was building out all of our analytics platforms, which will then allow me to do a great job of tracking all marketing efforts in the future and to determine if they make sense for us, if it's a place where we can invest money and to allow us to test and learn. So before I started, the state of Google Tag Manager only had 3 tags on it. One was for Hotjar, one was for Google Optimize, which we don't use yet, and then one was for another tag that made very little impact. There were 0 triggers in GTM to activate tags. And while Google Analytics had been set up on the web page, it actually wasn't tracking anything other than site traffic. So while working on this analytics project, significant advances have been made in the amount of data that we're able to collect. So we created 50 new tags in Tag Manager, and more are on their way. And these tags allow us to specifically take in information from different data points and different clicks. There are 50 more triggers along the way, and the triggers help the tags understand when to fire and collect that information. We performed a build out of Google Data Studio. We did a build out of Google Search Console, and we upgraded to GA4, which is the latest version of Google Analytics. And we will be integrating Firebase, which will be able to give us a data flow of literally from someone lands on our website to downloading a wallet, and then we can go through to see all of the wallet stats from one location. So it gives us a full view of consumer behavior on our website, something that we were definitely not able to do previously. And this gives us several benefits. So now we're able to track really interesting things about the website, such as what are the habits and hobbies of our site visitors? Where are they clicking on our dropdowns? What translations are they selecting? How are they flowing through our site and what is their behavior? So where are we seeing them continue with additional clicks versus where are we losing them on the website? And a lot of in-depth geographic information. This is going to lead to us being able to put together a better user experience for site visitors. I will be able to take this data to make better informed marketing and product decisions. And it will also help us understand our audience a little bit better than we can now. So when working with an anonymous decentralized organization, there are definitely benefits, but as a marketer, it is more difficult because the data that you have on your users is very slim. So our website data I'm using as a proxy to tell us more about the network in general and more about Dash users in general. Moving on to the next slide. Here's just some information that I thought you would like to see from the website. I'll give you a sneak peek into some of the data that we've been able to collect. And here you can see a snapshot of wallet downloads from June 18th through July 19th. And just to make it clear, these are downloads that happened during this one specific month and on dash.org only. So of course, there are many other locations where people can download wallets. This is only site-specific information. So there's other stats you can look at in other places. I don't want people to get the impression that this is all of the downloads that happened in total over the course of the month. And this really provides an optimization opportunity, the way that I'm looking at it. So we can tell that people are visiting our site looking specifically for Dash wallets and Dash related information. So while we do have multi-coin wallets that we offer, it may make sense to put our Dash wallets front and center and perhaps create a different section for multi-currency wallets and focus really on our Dash wallets. So this is one way that I can use that data to help inform any type of decision that I make on the website. Moving on to the next slide. I thought you would really find interesting is some information about the habits and hobbies of people who visit our website. So again, interesting web data. This is a chart of an affinity category from Google. And what an affinity category means is it's basically, as I said before, a habit and a hobby that site visitors participate in or engage in or seem to like due to their web behavior signals. So the number one category of people that we have visiting our sites are value shoppers. So one might not think that immediately. We have business professionals, we have technophiles, we have sports fans, soccer specifically. So there's also football, but because this is a US platform that I'm looking at it just calls it soccer. Business travelers, luxury shoppers, health and fitness buffs, and people who like to visit salons. So we can start to put together a really interesting profile of who our site visitors are. Again, this is not representative of everybody, but we know that people are value shoppers. They're financial news readers. They like to read financial news. They like to read cryptocurrency news specifically. Sports fans, they love tech, and apparently they love taking care of themselves as well. So how does this inform my marketing strategy? So I can take a look at our customers or our site users, and I can say, wow, we have Dash Direct, and we know that that is a value savings app, this might really resonate with a group, a segment of our audience. And maybe I would want to reach them through an influencer such as Crazy Coupon Lady. So this will help me go ahead and target my messaging. It'll help me target my marketing strategy and my contact strategy. That's just one example. Moving on to the next slide. So this is one of my absolute favorite reports that we can get through Google Analytics, and this is called a fallout report. It's also known as a behavior flow report. So if you've heard it used both ways, it is the same report. And what this report does is it helps us understand A, why people are coming to our websites, B, what they're doing on our websites, C, where we're losing them, where are they leaving our website, and then C, what information are they looking for on our website and why are they leaving? What we can tell already from our website is that the information people are looking to find right away for most visitors is where to buy. So this is a situation where we might want to move our where to buy information to our homepage. Let's reduce that friction and turn site visitors into site converters, into people who purchase Dash and adopt our currency. So right now, it takes about 3 clicks to find this information when you land on our homepage. So let's just make things easier for people. Let's take a look at our site and see how we can make it better, reduce that friction, and get people to take the actions that we want them to take sooner as opposed to later. Moving on to the next slide. So here are traffic sources, again, just for the month of July, but there are some very interesting insights that I want to walk you through on this slide. So we all know that Google, huge driver of traffic. People are finding us organically. That's wonderful. They're coming to our site. We also know that people either have dash.org bookmarked or they're coming to us directly. And that is the second largest source of traffic. CoinMarketCap and Coinbase are also very large sources of traffic for us. They're large referrals. People are going onto these websites to find out more about Dash, and then they're leaving those sites to come to our site to find out even more. So it makes sense to make sure that those profiles for our currencies are as updated as possible. Bing was actually a big surprise to me. We have a lot of visitors from Bing, and this might make sense as an additional advertising opportunity for us. We have DuckDuckGo, we have CoinGecko, we have Baidu, and what also really stands out to me is Yandex. So again, Russian, and it may make sense to just make our sites so that they are in language when people visit from a website that is in a different language. So if someone's coming in from Yandex, the version of the website that they are seeing is automatically Russian, as opposed to having someone click on the translation button that is on our homepage. So lots of insights to find here. Over time, we've seen our bounce rate drop, which means that people are coming to our site and they're consuming our information, which is great. Pages per session has increased, which is also wonderful. And then our average session duration is really just industry-wide. It's usually less than a minute, but we're getting people who are engaging on our site looking for very specific information. So I'm very happy to see the stats that we are. One other thing to point out is Baidu, again, from another place. And then a very interesting use case is BDSMpeople.club, which is a Russian website, but a big referral for us where they accept Dash as a payment. So when we talk about use cases, there may be some that non-traditional use cases that we don't always think about. Moving on to the next slide. This I thought was interesting as well. You can see the traffic numbers to the website from April in terms of Russian versus US traffic. And then you can see the US traffic versus Russian traffic in May. If you remember, we had our quarterly call in April, and we made a plea to everybody that if you are running a bot farm, whether it is for social or if it was for site visitors, please, please, please turn it off. And you can see that that actually did happen. And we've seen a decrease in Russian traffic, an increase in United States traffic in terms of actual traffic. And the numbers look a lot more even and trustworthy to me, so that when I evaluate the site, it will be easier for me to trust the data if it isn't mostly bots. Now moving on to the next slide. So there has been a ton of work that has happened this quarter that I'm very proud to tell all of you about. And this is the same slide that I showed you in the first quarterly call. And I made promises to you that I would work on each and every one of these efforts, at least a little bit, within this next quarter that I took on. So communication, you finding new users and enthusiasts. The first thing that I did was I performed a social audit. And I found out that we do not need to be participating in all of the social channels that we are. On many of our social channels, we see very, very, very little engagement. And we have to ask ourselves, if we have a little limited amount of time and a limited amount of resources, where can we make the biggest impact? There are only about 4 social channels where we are seeing impact. I also noticed that the metrics being used to measure social media success were incorrect according to how the industry measures success. So we were looking at number of followers and number of new followers that were joining. And while that is important, the true metric that we want to be looking at is engagement. So in order to increase engagement on our most important channels, we've been doing some testing, some message testing. We are building out a new look and tone for our social channels as well. And you can even see some of that testing happen in real life. Yesterday, I put out a video personally inviting people on Twitter to come to the call. So things are going to be looking a little bit different. There will be a little bit of a little different look and feel to make it a little more welcoming for different audience types. As we move forward through our social channels, we also probably will not be participating in all of the social channels that we have a part of now. In terms of reaching all stakeholders, so I've done a great job. You've been so helpful for me to collect email addresses from. I have selected a CRM to manage these email addresses, and templates for newsletters have been designed and are ready to be deployed. So we will start doing our outbound marketing actually this week. So that's fantastic progress. And then for MNOs, I have finally gotten access to the MNO Discord. I'm on there. I read conversations that happen. I don't always participate in them, but it gives me a good idea of what everyone is thinking. Moving to presence. So we wanted to make sure that we were in the places where it matters and that we were visible. In terms of trade shows, we've already had a speaking spot at Consensus this year. And then throughout the rest of the year, we have already decided to attend Money 2020, the IAFCI, which is a law enforcement conference that Ryan will be speaking at, Masari, Crypto Policy Summit, and then DC FinTech Week. Of course, as more conferences come up, we'll be planning our attendance at more of them. New communication vehicles. So we cannot advertise on a lot of the traditional platforms that I would usually have us advertise on. So we're having to be a little bit more creative, think a little bit more out of the box, and do a little bit more grassroots or guerrilla marketing efforts. So I have identified several new non-traditional marketing opportunities and placements that will be happening for Dash Direct and for platform and any efforts when that takes place. In terms of boots on the ground, I want to be able to arm all of you to take action within your own communities. So the first thing that I am in the process of doing right now is creating a merchant kit that will be downloadable from our website that community members can then download the information, download any type of integration information, tell you how to order some window cleans that we've created. You can go ahead and have this packet of information to bring to any merchants that you feel may like to accept Dash. Industry groups, we have joined several industry groups since I started. One of them is Blockchain Alliance. That announcement is going to be coming out soon in an official capacity, but we are there. And then our owned assets. So we have performed a site audit and an SEO audit because I knew immediately there was a lot of work that needed to be done here. I've hired an agency to help develop content to help push down any of the negative articles in news that has appeared about Dash. So the more positive information we can get out there about Dash, the more that people who are searching for Dash on Google will come across positive information, and the negative information will continue to be pushed down in search results. So that is the strategy, and we are working on that right now. Many pieces of content and downloadable assets have been developed. I'm not putting them all out at once. It will be in a regulated cadence that you'll see this new information coming. We redesigned our blog and our news channel, so it's ready for posting. And then the SEO work is also being done, working to resolve missing titles, descriptions, H1s, and image sizes. So we have a lot of issues with our site speed, especially on mobile. We have failed a mobile site speed test from Google, which means that our site does not appear when it should have the ability to do so or the opportunity to do so. So we are working fast and furiously behind the scenes to fix that. Business development, I'm working hand in hand with them. I'm attending partner calls when relevant, when the marketing piece comes into it. We are making site updates for partner agreements, and we are writing and distributing press releases to help define these relationships. And then last but not least, we're working on demand generation, and we're working on developing realistic solutions with limited resources. I think that there may be a misnomer in the community where there is the thought that I have this unlimited marketing budget and all of these funds to spend. The reality is it comes out to be about $30,000 a month in money that I receive from the Treasury, which in terms of marketing is not a very big number at all. There is not as much that I can do with it as I would like to do. So I always appreciate suggestions. Just if you're going to send me a suggestion, please don't tell me I have a $100,000 plan to reach influencers, because unfortunately with my budget, I might not be able to cover that. So just keep that in mind when you're making suggestions. And then moving on to the next slide. There's so much I still want to do that I have not been able to get to, but for new users and enthusiasts, right now I'm evaluating and selecting a public relations agency. And I also want to spend more time evaluating e-gaming opportunities. I think this is a great way to reach a younger audience. Stakeholders, our first newsletter is ready to deploy this week. I'm so excited. MNOs, we will be having MNO Q&A sessions. So for our Masternode owners only. However, I do in general like to keep the conversation in the general channel, just to make it a little bit more fair for everybody to have access to the information that happens in some of these conversations. I understand some are private, but some conversations can also happen just as well in a more public venue. Trade shows, I want to keep pitching opportunities. New communication vehicles, I'm working very, very, very in step with development to develop a marketing strategy for the Florida and Venezuela marketing corridor. Boots on the ground, I want to create a community model. I'm trying to work on Chicago first because that's where I live. I have not been having much success yet, but I am still working to find those Chicagoans who want to meet with me in person and discuss strategies and tactics to make Chicago a crypto town. And then industry groups, joining working groups as time allows to make sure that our voices are heard, at least from a marketing perspective. And then for getting to know ourselves, we have this new content. We're going to be loading it. And there's also an effort in place to lighten our mobile load time. So again, it's currently prohibiting our success in mobile searches. So we're spending a lot of time looking at images, looking at content, and basically taking a look at how we can redesign our mobile experience to make it more effective. Business development, executing on gathering resources as have been defined by the contract. And then for demand generation, creating use cases, I'm identifying roadblocks and researching solutions to help us through this process. So that's all that I have for marketing for this quarter. There will be a lot more coming up in future quarters, but now I would like to move on to the next presenter.
Hello.
Yeah.
Thank you, Arden. Thanks. So my name is Ernesto Contreras, and I'll share with you the key achievements completed during Q2 from the business development team. I will also be sharing some key metrics that highlight the positive growth trend we're seeing in Venezuela, as many of you have requested. In terms of new integrations and completed activities during the quarter, we continue working on the 4 key areas where Dash can make an impact and gain large amounts of users. These areas are trading, where we're enhancing the ecosystem of products and services for professional traders and institutions, which is a foundation layer for large holders to come into the Dash ecosystem. We're also working on the esports and online purchases. This is a use case we're beginning to operate more and more with. It's a great match. It's a great match to Dash unrivaled speed and cost. And we wanted to tackle this for a long time. And after passing the bear market, we began to finally act upon it. We're also spending a lot of time on regulatory and other opportunities because we want to make sure that we keep our doors open and we also keep our eyes open for what might come next. And we're also, of course, operating in Venezuela, where we keep growing the ecosystem and are now working to drive more usage and volume to it. So I'll start describing what we did in Q2 in Venezuela. During this quarter, we grew with the addition of Biomercados. Bio is a large retailer in the city of Valencia with 7 locations around 3 areas and about 500 customers visiting the store every month. This integration is a result from the CryptoBuyer Megasoft Dash Alliance, and I had the chance to personally participate on some of the meetings that led up to this integration. They're very happy with accepting this new payment method, and we're working to get Dash in front of many more people. The second project I want to talk to you about is we announced the implementation of the Dasher Pay solution into our first public client, a major food franchise. This deployment has been successful, with all available employees actually spending their Dash. And as a result, we have received confirmation from 3 other mid-sized organizations that will deploy the payroll solution as well. DCG is closely cooperating with the Dash Text or Dasher Pay team as they have collected feedback from users to improve the product. They are getting regulation clarity and they're getting all the licenses needed to scale this. We have a target of reaching at least 6 mid-sized organizations for the remaining of the year. And you will also see that during May, we ran a promotion with Pizza Hut and CryptoBuyer to increase brand awareness of Dash in the chain. This resulted in tens of thousands of views in our social media Spanish channels, and it was a great success, and we plan to do more stuff with Pizza Hut in Venezuela. Another key area of growth for us is trading. I want to highlight our Neja crypto integration. This allowed Dash to enter the Haitian market. I want to emphasize that we are the only crypto available for purchase with a Haitian gourd pair. So for a limited time, Dash is the easiest to acquire crypto across the island. and this should mark a difference. We're closely cooperating with NYJA to see how the volumes and everything evolves and how we can scale this to the next level. I also want to talk about Neat Finance, which is a decentralized protocol for creating cross-chain wrapped cryptos. This partnership is the result from a collaboration with Dash Next and DCG. Now, Dash can be transacted across multiple chains in a wrapped key Dash model. Next up, I'm going to share with you about Bitcoin2U. Bitcoin2U is a Brazilian crypto broker. They have around 400,000 users and offer multiple currencies, including stablecoins, Bitcoin, and many others. And now, of course, Dash. I want to highlight that these projects are the result of collaboration between different Dash-funded organizations. In this case, it's the result of cooperating between Dash Next and Dash Brazil and DCG. And this is the result of our weekly community meetings to which all operating Dash-funded organizations are open to participate. On the last part of the trading side, you will see Trade the Chain and an article. This is the continuous efforts we're making to enhance and promote the FastPass Alliance. These are on the Trade the Chain component. We run a series of AMAs with them, and we are also finalizing the release of articles to promote trading with Dash. I encourage the community to share this blog, get quotes from it, and pass it around their trading friends so we can help more people learn about Dash. I want to talk about what we did on the esports and online payment side. We added Instant Send into Now Payments. Now Payments is a gateway with plugins for WooCommerce, PrestaShop, OpenCart, Shopify, and more. They serve over 200 online stores, and now all of their clients can receive Dash in seconds due to the Instant Send integration. We're currently using their payment button as a solution for a soon-to-be-announced marketplace. So this is another tool that will help us increase growth anywhere we want. And finally, I want to talk about Cloudbet. This is one of my favorite integrations for the quarter. Cloudbet is a betting site with over 250,000 users that has been operating since 2013. There, users can bet on sports, online casinos, esports, MMA, and many, many more. Users can get Dash accredited within a minute, as opposed to 10 minutes with Bitcoin, and they can choose to directly use Dash on their site, as well as making Dash their default currency while you play. By the way, when Dash is selected as a default, the UX turns Dash blue and has the Dash logo. It's really cool, and it's a great move for everybody to see more Dash. We'll keep an eye on them to see how volumes and transactions evolve over time. And last but not least, we keep on working on the regulatory side, and we have actively participated on different organizations such as the Blockchain Organization, INATBA in Europe, and BGIN, which is a working group that helps the Japanese regulation side. We hope that eventually this will help us get in the door and get in front of the decision makers to make sure that we can allow Dash to be listed everywhere it needs to be listed. On the next slide, I will show you some stats and some trends that I pulled up from different sources on Venezuela. On different channels, the community has requested to see more and better data about what's going on in Venezuela. So today I collected data from different sources, and I am sharing with you two different data sets. On the left, you will see data from CryptoBuyer and one of CryptoBuyer's customers. And on the right, you will see data from the DashPay Android Firebase statistics. The first graph on the top left shows the organic growth that CryptoBuyer has achieved during all of 2021. As they have added more and more places to spend, more people are using crypto overall. Counting the amount of transactions they had in January up to their closing in June, they have increased in about 23% in total. It is important to note that these are all transactions that are happening organically because there are no incentives. Nobody's opening up wallets or giving away Dash prices for people to use. But what is happening is that as a result of having more and better locations to spend crypto, people are getting more used to it and people are spending more of their crypto. It is really important to note that within this growing trend, Dash also increased their share of usage. In the first quarter, the Dash transactions within CryptoBuyer accounted for about 24% of their total. And on the second quarter, we were 30% of all the transactions within CryptoBuyer, beating all other coins in many of the places that are being used. And why is that? So I found the information of one of the supermarkets where Dash was the leading coin. And that's the graph that you see on the bottom left. You will see the blue bars signaling the amount of Dash transactions for the month. The orange bars are Bitcoin, and the ones with lines are other coins. What is happening is that around 60% of all the transactions that happen in this supermarket month after month are Dash transactions. We're discovering many interesting insights, and one of them is that when we are giving people the option to pay smaller amounts for their everyday purchases, they are selecting Dash. It makes total sense because you don't want to pay high fees when you're paying a $30 or $40 purchase, which is the average that we're seeing on supermarkets. And this is exactly what we want. We want people to build out habits. Some people are waiting for a price increase in Bitcoin and then going and buying that electronic appliance, but that is a one-off transaction that happens every 2, 3, or 6 months. But what we're seeing, especially in these type of places, is that people are recurrent customers and are going every month. And that's why, despite a negative price action during the quarter, the percentage of transactions in Dash remained the same in this supermarket, at least. On the right, you will see the actions that are happening in the Android store. This shows what users are doing in the Dash app, and it provides a little bit of details with what buttons people or Android users are pressing in the app. This graph shows that Venezuelan users are one of the most active amongst the countries shown in the app. And the data is consistent with the behavior we're seeing offline, and it's a clear indicator that out of our more or less 100,000 wallets in the country, they are not only keeping the Dash wallet, but they're also interacting and paying with it. So I just want to close by emphasizing two very important points. Number one, in Venezuela, we're one great solution for payments and inflation issues. This means that people with cell phone and disposable income are our target. Unlike some of the narratives that want to discredit Dash and the work that we have done, Dash will be usable to an estimated 5–10% of the population. Those people that I described, and those are the people that are reacting to Dash availability everywhere. And number two, I want to highlight that we constantly discover more and better insights. And as we double down, we continue emphasizing on the sub areas where we can continue earning share and usage. And this is one part of our BD strategy, the part that is focusing on being the real digital cash. We will continue on the trading, esports, and other verticals as they complement each other, and they are a complement to our success in Venezuela. This success creates a positive loop that enhances our awareness and success in the other areas. As usual, I'll be replying to questions after your comments or on social media. And with that, I'll pass it over to Ryan for the outlook and any finishing comments.
Yeah, thank you, Ernesto. Hopefully, the community appreciates some of the digging that Ernesto has done. Not all organizations are willing to share their data, and oftentimes it takes building those relationships and going back to them on a frequent basis and trying to collect what we can so that we can have insights into what we're doing and what's working and what we should continue targeting. So at this point, I just wanted to bring to your attention a big change that is coming to our organization. Bob Carroll has decided to leave to pursue an excellent opportunity, and has notified us that he does plan to leave the organization. We've known about it for a little while and have kicked off a search. Bob's last day will be July 31st, and we certainly wish him well and thank him for all the work that he's done over the years to professionalize our organization. We wouldn't be where we are without Bob. And as I said, he did provide us with significant notice. We kicked off a search a while back, and we are considering both internal and external candidates for the role of CTO. While that search is underway, we are appointing Sam Westrich, our interim CTO. You may know him by his handle, Quantum Explorer, and we're really fortunate to have him available to step up and fill those shoes, and definitely wish him well. He is also one of the candidates that we are considering for the role, and so we all want to give him our full support and help him to help the developers on their journey. So this is a big change for us, but it's one that I think that we're very well positioned for, and we'll keep the community updated as this transition continues. So Sam, I'm not sure if you wanted to say a couple of words.
Yeah, sure. I'll say a few words. Thank you very much for that. I wish Bob the best success in his new endeavor, and I'm looking forward to the role and to making changes that our community is looking forward to. Thank you very much.
Perfect. Well, the other big news that I wanted to share is that we are in the final stages of deploying Dash Direct. For those of you in the United States, Dash Direct is a savings application that on launch will already support around 155,000 locations in the US where you could spend Dash and earn a discount at almost all of those locations. And it's a great collaboration that we've been working on since 2018. We worked with the DIF to come up with a package that made sense for CrayPay, the partner that is delivering on this solution. And both Dash Core Group and the DIF, it's really a first example of a collaboration between those organizations that has led to both an investment in CrayPay that the network owns, but also the product itself that is developed as a result of that collaboration. We do expect the app to launch next week. And so please be on the lookout for that. It is going to be available in both iOS and Android. And we're going to try to make a big splash in the media with it. One thing that's really interesting, and it just came out this morning from payments.com, they have a survey and that they conduct, and there were some interesting findings from that survey. One of those was that 59% of cryptocurrency users would be extremely or very interested in opportunities to use crypto at retailers if it offered them a savings incentive. And so we really seem to be offering a solution that the market is looking for. And when you look at the data that Arden presented earlier, the number one affiliation that came up with our existing visitors are people that are looking for savings and discounts. And so there's really a good match here between the community, between other crypto users, and this particular use case. And this particular use case is unique from everything else that's been developed up till this point. There have been some online tools that allow you to get Bitcoin back, for example. That's not the same thing as instant savings. There are tools that have been developed that issue gift cards, but you have to plan ahead. Those gift cards are delivered via your email, so you can't do it at the register. There's a couple minute delay with email. And so this is the first application that does instant payment followed by instant issuance of a digital gift card directly on your phone that is scannable. And I have personally used this. It is an amazing experience. And I know Joel Valenzuela is going to have a much improved life. He's a community member of ours that completely lives off of cryptocurrency. I think that he is going to be thrilled, as are many of you. So I think that, shout out to Joel. I think there's going to be a lot more people like you in the immediate future because having used it myself, it is a great user experience and it works all over the place. We're also going to be rolling out 2 things over time. One is we're going to roll out deeper discounts. As more of our users use the app, we're going to be able to actually use the affiliation revenue that would normally accrue to the affiliation partner, in this case, Dash Core Group. We pass that on to our consumers. And so as the development fees get paid down by that revenue, we're going to open up even larger savings. Those savings are already larger than you can get through the traditional CrayPay application because there are no credit card fees that CrayPay incurs. And those savings are passed along to you. The second thing is that as the development fee gets paid down, it makes it economically viable to offer this at more and more retailers and offer a discount at more and more retailers. And so the 155,000 is just a starting point. What you'll find is that we will be rolling out more and more merchants over time and are targeting over 200,000 merchants in the near future. So this is I believe to be a real game changer for usability of cryptocurrency. It will encourage our users to, well, first, it will encourage new users. The second thing it'll do is it'll encourage our existing users to carry a balance with them when they're out shopping so that they have a balance available just like they would cash in their wallet. That drives demand for Dash and drives demand for more wallets holding more Dash for spendability purposes, not just investment speculation. So we think that it will drive additional demand for Dash. And I can tell you from personal experience that sharing this application with other people, people I never thought or have been talking about crypto for years are suddenly excited to get the application. So I do know from personal experience that this is going to yield new users. I encourage you to talk to your friends and family about it, show them the benefit of using cryptocurrency as part of their daily lives. And I know we can grow our community. So it's really exciting to be rolling this out. And so I want you to watch for that in the near future. Download it, try it. It's a great user experience. This is one of the key pillars, by the way, from years ago when we talked about the adoption factors of crypto. One of them was usability. Another was rewards and offers. And these are stackable rewards. You can continue to use coupons. You can continue to sign up for retailer cashback options, like, you know, they have at CVS or Walgreens or whatever, where you get a certain percentage back at the end of the quarter for your spending. It doesn't affect any of those other programs. So this is additional savings. And so we think that it's a really powerful tool.
And just one comment, I know that the community wanted the hype to live up to the actual delivery. So this might be, you know, that opportunity where both pieces are coming together at the same time. And one thing that I'm very excited about Dash Direct personally is that it's a great way to get women involved in crypto. You know, I'm not going to say that women stereotypically like to shop, but they do happen to do most of the household purchases. And so this is a great way to get other audience members, new segments interested in learning about crypto, using crypto, and then seeing its utility and using it as an actual crypto currency, which would be great. So we're excited.
So for those of you living outside of the United States, I apologize. This is one of our next steps, is to evaluate new markets. It is deployable in other markets, and you know, let's make it a success in the US so that we have that incentive to continue getting the company to grow into other markets with this option for our users. So this is the type of integration that really brings Dash to merchants in mass quantities, and that's the type of integration that's kind of my dream one. So I'm excited about it. The last thing I'd like to say is, with the deployment of version 0.20 today of platform on testnet, we believe that this should unlock some of the frustrations that have been out there with version 19 not working the way that it should on testnet. There was a lot of bug fixing that went into this version. The team worked incredibly hard, and you know, we're looking for feedback on that. The developers have really been working hard to resolve all of those bugs, and it really allows us to free ourselves up to work on version 0.21 in full at this point. But if you are a developer and have feedback for anything that might still be a roadblocker for you, certainly communicate that with our developers through the Discord channel or whatever channel works for you. So with that, I'd like to wrap things up. I appreciate everyone's time coming here to listen. We hope that you found it informative. As I said, you know, we're really looking to give you a deep dive into marketing this time, just to let you know of all the work that's been going on behind the scenes. Not all of it is super visible, but it's super important because it's going to inform everything else that we do. And that's the reason we're focusing on it on this particular quarterly call. And thank you all for your support, and we'll open it up for questions.
Yeah, thanks, Ryan. So for the Q&A section this time, we will be selecting only 4 of the questions out of 12 we have received so far. 4 of them were asked before the call, the rest on the chat, on the YouTube chat during the call. The remaining questions will be addressed both on the forum and social media, and I have committed myself to collect all of them by the end of the next week. So, I mean, the responses, the answers. So without further ado, let's start. There were many questions about the position of Dash on the market cap. I will read the first one because it's the most complex one, but I believe that the answer, the response will address all of the other questions. So the question is from Grandmaster Dash, and it is like, I'm sure this quarterly call will once again claim wallet installs and usage is up, but the elephant in the room that has not been addressed in Dash's ranking, currently ranked 65, So the question was written when Dash was at the position 65. Today it's 53. I understand why CoinMarketCap is such a poor indicator, but there is no other independent industry-wide metric in the face of the public at large. Is DCG going to continue ignoring this issue?
Yeah, I mean, CoinMarketCap is important because, I think when people are new to crypto, if nothing else, they kind of look at top coins and are most likely to investigate those. This certainly isn't an issue that has been, I would say, ignored in any respect. We're well aware of the issue, and one of the issues, or one of the set of steps that we've done was a monumental one, which was changing the block reward. And we didn't anticipate that changing the block reward would have such an immediate impact. The goal of the block reward reallocation was to slow the growth of circulating supply, which had gone as high as 30% per year at various points in time, or high 20s. And it's really hard to maintain your price when your circulating supply is growing so quickly. However, fixing it after the momentum has already carried you down the CoinMarketCap ranking, it is difficult to climb back out and reverse the trend. I think that what the immediate goal was to try to stabilize the relative performance of Dash versus competitors. And when you look at the top 10 currencies, as defined by like Masari or one of these, excluding things like stable coins, excluding things like DEXs or coins issued by a exchange that are essentially acting kind of like equity instruments where they do buybacks of them. We have stabilized within that group. And I think stabilization is the first step. In order to climb our way back up, I think we need to do two things. One is we need to deliver platform. I think that will do a lot to reinstill confidence in the market of Dash's delivery history. Fully acknowledging that it has taken a lot longer to deliver platform than we anticipated when we started the project. But we are close to that finish line. I think that is a potential triggering event. The second is continuing to grow organically. We are obviously continuing to grow in places like Venezuela, but we're growing overall as well. I think that, when you look at all of our metrics, you can see that they do continue to trend in the right direction. I do think that delivery of things like Dash Direct and a Valkyrie fund would both potentially be triggering events as well to help us start to reverse that trend and move up the market cap rankings. So, and of course, the block reward reallocation does continue, and that supports or encourages the purchasing of Dash for the purposes of running a masternode as those rewards continue to accrue. So our next reallocation event is on August 28th, I believe, or somewhere within a day of that. And so there are a number of things that I'm looking forward at and trying to kind of reverse that, not just go to stabilizing Dash, but to go towards growing it again. I think that there's been a great deal of loss in confidence in the project as it has slipped down the market cap ranking. Obviously, not the only reason that we've struggled in that regard is the growth in circulating supply, but it is a big uphill battle to fight. And it's one thing that we have done to reduce a barrier to adoption. And I think that that it gives us a much better opportunity to pursue all of these other things. So we're not ignorant to the fact that we're sitting at 53 right now, and we're working really hard to reverse that on multiple fronts. And yeah, I mean, we're heads down and continuing to do that. So look for these triggering events and let's see what kind of an effect it can have on the market. I do believe that Dash is undervalued and it's underappreciated right now. And a lot of people have kind of disregarded Dash as one of the old coins. And I think that we're continuing to innovate. So I think that the project will get noticed. I'm doing more to get more of that information out there to funds and others. I know that there's an effort underway to issue a report and distribute that to funds on the progress of Dash. And I believe that both of those efforts can have a great deal of impact. And I do think that the messages that we have to tell and the story we have to tell does resonate when we get in front of investors. So I think there's more we can do on the investor front. It is an area I plan to focus more of my time on than I have in the past. And I think that all of these things can come together and have an impact.
Thanks, Ryan. There were also multiple questions about the developers leaving DCG. The first asked about this was this post, and there is a reference to one of the posts in the Dash Central. This post mentions multiple times multiple developers leaving DCG. Who are these developers that have left DCG, and is www.org/DCG still up to date?
Yeah, so I think the main one that people are focused on is Dustin Face has left the team. He was one of our core team developers. That is an area we've hired quite a bit. There's actually a slide in the appendix, and I do plan on the end of the call to flip through the appendix here, and you can see all the developers that we have hired. We have lost a couple of Android devs, and we do have job postings open for those. It's not those I wouldn't consider to be a major impact, simply because that's not the critical path for like Evolution or DashPay at this point. The mobile team is far ahead of the other teams in terms of completing the tasks required for delivery of DashPay and platform. So we do want to expand the platform team. There's currently 6 members of that team. And I think there was a little bit of miscommunication over the number on that team. I will say that, if anybody has concerns, it's probably best to reach out directly and ask about the facts, because I think there's some misinformation that's flowing around. I believe that Sam posted a response to some of those concerns. Hopefully that addresses some of those concerns. One of the things that we struggle with on the platform team is that it is written in a language that oftentimes isn't used in combination with other crypto projects and backend developers frequently engage with. And so that Venn diagram, if you will, is I think the way Sam described it to me, doesn't overlap with very many people. And so we've been interviewing something like or reviewing something like 60 candidates or something like that. And it's just a hard team to hire for. It's a very specific skill set and background that we're looking for. And so if you know someone with the right skill sets, we're obviously looking for referrals. But we are pulling people from other teams as necessary to work on specific tasks if the right skill set is there. Sam has been essentially working on platform, for example, and probably spending less than 10% of his time over on platform lately. So yeah, I mean,
less than 10% on mobile.
Less than 10% on mobile. I must have misspoke. Yeah. So I'm not sure if you have anything additional to add there.
Oh, no, not really. You covered it pretty well.
I can only add that if there are any inconsistencies on the DCG website, it's my fault. I will review that, and the website will be up to date by the end of this week for sure, if there are any, because at the moment I cannot say. And I also saw a couple of questions about Andy Free leaving Dash on the chat. First of all, I want to clarify that Andy was not a member of Dashcore Group recently, at least. He was our CTO before Bob. Recently, Andy was managing and leading the Dash incubator, and as far as I know, he didn't leave the Dash. He just handed over the leadership of the incubator to Ryan. So
Ryan Gull, to be clear.
Yeah, Ryan Gull. Okay, exactly.
Yeah, I don't think there's more comments I'd add here. I
Yeah,
think we covered it pretty well.
yeah, sure. Maybe one question also from the marketing area. How does Arden see the new marketing incubator integrating into her strategy, or can they work together? The question from Nicholas.
I mean, I don't necessarily see us as competing with each other. There are a lot of, one of the things that I haven't been able to get to necessarily yet, and I think if I had a bigger team, I'd have more free time to do it, but is to engage the community in marketing efforts. When I have tried to do so myself, it's sort of like I've been met with crickets on, let's say, Discord. So I think if the incubator can get more people from the community involved in marketing, the better. I just, they have reached out to me and asked if I could help evaluate opportunities and, help give guidance, and I'm more than happy to do that. I just, to me, I feel like with marketing, as long as the information that's being presented is correct and accurate and professional, and doesn't compete with any type of larger strategy, Dash strategy, not just necessarily Dash core group strategy that we are trying to achieve, then I the more the merrier. I guess that's how I feel.
Thanks, Arden. Thanks a lot. Maybe the last question from the business development area, also asked by Grandmaster Dash. And the question is, with the recent Bitcoin El Salvador announcement, what has DCG done to get a foot in the door? NDAs aside, can DCG confirm they are actively working on this?
Yeah, I can take this one, or Ernesto, you could jump in with some additional details. There's a partner we were already working with when that announcement came out that is pursuing use cases throughout Central America in particular, and a little bit of the Caribbean, but mostly they were focused on Central America. They have a large number of users and a large number of services ranging from invoicing capabilities for businesses to ATMs to a variety of different crypto related offerings. And we were in the midst of a collaboration. Of course, when that announcement came out, we both immediately started trying to figure out what type of strategy might work to help with Dash adoption within the country. We think that we have a much cleaner solution, especially for daily commerce. And so we are working with another company externally that already has a footprint, and working on solutions that might work for that market. So I think that we're pursuing it. If anyone knows the president of El Salvador, send me an email. I would love to talk to him. But we are looking for any opportunities to speak to folks there that might have an interest in hearing what we can bring to the economy.
Yeah, thank you, Ryan. I would like to add there that besides this new integration, some of our current partners in South America have connections in El Salvador, and they're exploring how they can deploy the services that they are already deploying in Venezuela in El Salvador, because it would be, they don't have to build many more things, they just have to deploy them. So that, besides some communication we've had with other Dash funded organizations that are exploring the market. So it's a multi organization approach, and we're definitely not going to let it go by.
Excellent. Thank you, Ernesto. Thank you, Ryan. With this, I want to wrap it up. I mean, the Q&A question, the Q&A part. Usually this is the end of the call, but this time we want to mention also that the presentation and slides used during this call is being shared right after the call by me. It is available on our Confluence site, and it contains a couple of appendixes. Ryan, do you want to elaborate a little bit more about it, or should I?
Yeah, we always have this appendix, but I think a lot of people just don't even realize that it's there or what it contains. I always speak to this. I want to actually walk you guys through it so you can see what's there. Let's do a quick flip through, just so you're aware. We have our DCG org chart here. We update it every single quarter so you can see where our resources are deployed. Any name here in bold is a new team member, or there's an offer that has been accepted. We do have a platform technical product manager that we hired about a month ago who starts on Monday. So that will help keep that team more organized. You can see we expanded the core dev team quite a bit, added a mobile dev, and we added a cryptographer, as we mentioned earlier. They'll be supporting across all of these teams. So we've added pretty significantly during the quarter, and you can really see where we focus a lot of our resources here. So if you want to keep flipping, we also have additional accomplishments that we don't talk about during the call, kind of in the background here. Flip to the next one. Looks like we have a sticker there that needs to go before we publish these, but we talk about what's next, the current activities that we're working on, and what the accomplishments are that we're trying to achieve, what roles we're recruiting for, that type of information. And then if you keep flipping, we have the quarterly performance trends laid out by quarter. So you can see the trends over longer periods of time. You can see where the spikes may have occurred, or comparison to the prior quarter or to the prior year quarter. We have customer support summaries of the tickets that are coming in, and you can see kind of when those are coming in and the resolution of tickets that we receive. We do a lot of customer support, 500-600 tickets a quarter. And then lastly is data sources. So you can actually go check the data yourself to make sure that it's accurate, and you can find some of the data sources we rely on and track them in real time if you're interested. So all of these things are available in the appendix. I encourage you to go check those things out and read through them. If you want more details than we can provide here in the quarterly call, but it's all there. It's always been there. And I just think a lot of community members don't realize it's there or what it contains. So I just wanted to put it in front of you so you could see it and know whether or not that's information you want to go consume.
Yeah, thanks, Ryan. And I think with that, we can end our call. Thank you very much for all of you guys for sharing the information, for preparing the slides and sharing with the community the latest news. Thank you for all of the participants for joining the call, and all of the community outside for their endless support. Thanks a lot, and till the next one. Bye,
right.
everyone.
Thank you.
You.
Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.
All right.
Hey, Sam,
Um,
if you hold on, we usually do a little debrief.
Yeah.
We're still live, right?
I think so.
Yeah, it's Andy. Okay.